I hardly meet a white nationalist who, and I've known a lot of them, who believe that the answer realistically for any race issues in America is going to be to round people up and get rid of them.
It's just not a good city anymore. The drugs, the violence, the crime.
I don't think anything was given to him. However far he goes, he will have earned it.
Everyone is shaped by their hometown. And for J.D. Vance, that's truer than most.
You gotta take care of business, you gotta go to school, you gotta get good grades to even have a chance.
Mom was the best in her class. What's the point?
I'm talking about a chance.
Hillbilly Elegy, Vance's 2016 memoir about growing up in Ohio and Kentucky, launched his political career.
We're gonna lead the greatest economic comeback in American history.
So what's it like in J.D. Vance's hometowns? To find out, we set out to J.D.'s two hometowns. The Appalachian one, where he spent summers in Kentucky, and the Rust Belt one, where he went to school in Ohio. In part one, we head to Middletown, Ohio, 40 minutes north of Cincinnati, to see what J.D. Vance's neighbors have to say about him today.
Do you feel anything knowing that, like, I guess the person who lived in the same house as you is now the vice president?
Our first stop was J.D.'s childhood home, and on the way there, it was easy to see why he'd want to make America great again. Downtown was half abandoned, with addiction recovery clinics and Dollar Generals instead of small business. We'd return here for interviews later.
Yeah, I like the idea of J.D. Vance being from here, so, I try and be humble, you know what I mean?
Vance grew up a mile or so from downtown, and we found his house and tried to talk to the residents.
This is J.D. Vance's house, right? What do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know.
No. Where, are you're from Middletown?
Yeah. Things coming off.
Is there stuff to do? How about this area? What would you say this neighborhood's like?
Good. It's like a normal neighborhood.
It seems nice. Do you feel anything knowing that, like, I guess the person who lived in the same house as you is now the vice president? No? Do you have any thoughts on him? No. Okay. Well, interesting. All right. Thank you.
That conversation didn't go anywhere, but one of Vance's childhood neighbors spoke about generations of the family.
You knew the Vances?
We've been interviewed by everybody all around the world.
Are you born here?
Yeah, I've been here since I was 3. So I knew Mama Vance when she was just Bonnie. I knew Bonnie in her early 40s.
That's JD's grandma.
JD's grandmother's kind of like a matriarch kind of person, kind of rode roughshod on everybody. And, if you stepped out of line, she would let you know quick. She pushed all the kids to make good of their lives and remember where they come from.
So one of your critics dismisses the tone of the book.
Sure.
Quote, all hillbillies need to do is work hard, maybe do a stint in the military, and they can end up at Yale Law, like he did.
I just don't think that's the thesis of the book at all. The takeaway of the book is that community and family really matter. And I think anybody who ignores that is fundamentally not appreciating the actual reality that exists on the ground and the complexity of the problems these kids face.
I know obviously J.D. Vance has written and said a lot about where he came from. Do you think he's been good for the community?
He's not been bad for it.
Do they see him as putting the city down, or do they see it as pretty accurate the way he's covered it?
He tells it through his eyes. We all got dysfunctional family members and stuff like that. They had their share of them too, but I mean, he wasn't a bad kid. He worked his way up through the ranks, and I don't think anything was given to him. However far he goes, he will have earned it. I'll be curious to see what happens if we're all still here when Trump is gone, because I think he'll be well groomed for how corrupt this system is.
Now, that man I was just talking to said one really interesting thing after he shut off the camera, and he said the way he sees it, we're becoming a two-class country. You have the people who own the businesses, everybody else serves them. And he said that's what's happening in Middletown, it's happening all over the place. And he said, asked me, he said, how do you feel about your generation, about your prospects? And he said he has a lot of friends with kids our age who have kids, and he said they know their kids won't have a better life than them. And he said to him, you can't worry about it because what's done is done. But he said to me, you're not going to retire. And he said he voted for Trump because he just wants to buy some more time to slow down the erosion of things. And he sees J.D. Vance as part of that.
To the people of Middletown, Ohio, and all the forgotten communities in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, and every corner of our nation, I promise you this: I will be a vice president who never forgets where he came from.
Definitely it's not the lowest income street. I mean, it's not like a rough neighborhood. I think that's where we were before, but definitely a lower middle class kind of vibe here, working class people. Interesting place.
Now, real quick, our mission at Roca News is simple: capture the world without bias or fear. That's brought us all over the U.S., capturing immigration issues in the U.K. and Canada, and a whole bunch more. If you support, please subscribe. Capture the world without bias or fear with Roca News. The decay the man on the porch spoke about is on full display in the area around downtown, which is now largely abandoned. The first woman we spoke to here remembered JD working at the nearby store with her son, which is now a Dollar General, and coming into the rec center where she worked.
So your son literally grew up with him. I mean, like, they knew each other.
Yeah, they had to working together. I said, I bet you I taught him how to hang his coat up.
So the lady we spoke to there didn't want to be on camera, but she said her son grew up working in the grocery store over here with JD Vance. She said JD's a really good guy. And this neighborhood itself, she said they call it the Skillet, and it was full of prostitutes.
Most residents we spoke to emphasized Middletown's decline.
Really no jobs that maybe fast foods, restaurants, little factories off the side. Some of them closed down. Ronnie Howard made a movie over this way a few years ago.
Yeah, about the president,
Hillbilly
the
Elegy.
vice president. Yeah. What do you think of him?
So far, talk's reasonable.
What you're saying that Middletown, known as top 15 most ghetto towns in Ohio, which is surprising. I mean, we've heard this in this area. There used to be a lot of prostitutes, stuff like that.
Still is.
Still is.
There still is. I mean, over here on Central Avenue, they run up and down it, and excuse me, it's like I said, Middletown's really not that bad of a place, but it just gets a bad rap because a lot of the other cities, they'll bring their, meth users and all that stuff here and literally just drop them off.
Are you from here originally?
Yeah, born and raised here.
One thing that was interesting, we were reading on Wikipedia, and one thing it said was the population of Middletown's gone up a lot.
A whole lot.
What, at the same time, normally when you see that, it's because of economic growth, but what we saw here is the rate of poverty has also gone up a lot.
It has. I mean, let's take that house across the street, for example. 10 years ago, it probably would have cost you, anywhere in between about $450, $650 to rent. Now to rent a place that's similar to that, $1,500, $2,000.
Really?
Yeah. People can't afford to live. I mean,
why do you think that is? I mean, why?
Because Middletown, there's no business here. I mean, they have no industry here. I mean, most of it they put out towards 75, and it's all out there, and then they want to pay minimum wage or less if they can get away with it. People can't live on that.
When you were a kid, was there industry here? Was there stuff like that? Or
well, the main industry here at the time when I was a kid was Armco.
That's called Cliffs.
Cliffs.
Is that's steel, right?
Yeah, that's a steel plant back over here. It's hard to get on there, and once you do, they work you to death. Other than that, you have to go out of town. If you ain't got a car, you can't make any money. It's growing, but it's what city can I compare that to? Kind of like downtown Los Angeles. It's growing, but it's more of the homeless population that's growing than anything.
You agree with that? You think the same?
Yeah. And I mean, it's getting real bad. It really is. I mean, if you're here, after dark, I mean, you'll see them come out the woodwork, and they're just everywhere.
They being the prostitutes,
just homeless people in general. You see them all come out at night. They're all over the place. And I'm just like, wow.
So we know that the vice president is from here.
Right.
What do you think of him?
We're gonna leave that for another interview. We're just gonna leave that for another interview. We're not even gonna comment on that. Right?
But it seems like a lot of stuff he talks about. He's always talking about job, the lack of factory work and that kind of stuff.
Right, which he does talk about it, but talking about it is one thing. Actually, moving on it is another thing.
Totally.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie that he wrote, or the movie that he wrote, or
the book.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Look at it. I mean, you can see it from both sides. A lot of people were kind of aggravated about it because it's almost like he was putting Middletown down. Which I seen that part of it, but I also seen the part where he was talking about how it was also building him up to be a man. You know, his character. And it's, I don't know, it just, yeah. Middletown, though, it could be so much more. But who am I to complain?
So we're outside Middletown High School where J.D. Vance went to high school. And honestly, it's probably a bit nicer than we expected. They've got a nice manicured lawn, nice sports facilities, partially updated building. Overall, pretty nice.
A lot of drugs, a lot of violence, a lot of senselessness.
It is.
Yeah, you know it's gotten bad down here. I don't know, it's just not a good city anymore. When I owned a house here 13 years ago, it was great. But the drugs, the violence, the crime, the young kids, it's not what it used to be.
That's disappointing
I love
to hear.
Middletown, and there's so much potential, especially in the streets down here. Like, there is a lot of potential, and there could be a lot of growth. But I think the community has to want to do it too, and the community isn't what it used to be.
While people generally blamed external factors for Middletown's demise, one lady blamed the local people.
I've been gone for 48 years. And each city is whatever you make it to be. And if you don't put nothing in it, you don't get nothing out of it. Everybody walk around and say Middletown this, Middletown that. It's not as bad as you said it is, but no, you can't get nobody to do nothing. You can't get nobody to volunteer to do nothing.
What do you think changed? Why do you think the community kind of got weaker, fell apart?
I don't know.
Like we did, they moved out.
Yeah, they just kind of quit caring and got up out of here. Or settled. A lot of people settle for this.
It's a good place to raise your kids, but you got to be involved in it. You can't just throw them out there and expect for somebody else to do it. I don't know.
I know J.D. Vance is from here. What do y'all think of him?
I don't like him.
Don't like him?
I mean, I'm not a fan. I think from him being here, he hasn't done anything for his community. And that's sad. You know, you love to throw it out because you're from the small town community and you've went through this hardship in life, which a lot of us have went through the same hardships in life that he went through. But I think he did better for himself and kind of forgot about his community. I don't think even a lot of us remembered he was from here until he went, beside Trump.
Despite the decline of jobs, people were still moving in, including immigrants like this one from Nepal.
Hey bro, how you doing? How long have you been here?
Like 7-8 months ago, yeah.
Is this your store?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So, but you think there's not many jobs, so you open your own business and do this?
We'll try to make to like something, but not like go around and fast, just slowly.
Other new arrivals were fleeing trouble in the cities, including this man who had some outspoken views on race.
I've been here 7 months. Never lived here before that. Wasn't very familiar with it.
What brought you here?
I was in downtown Cincinnati at the time, going through a lot of personal affairs and stuff. And the contact I got hooked up with had a place out here, and not being able to come up and look at the place, I just decided to take it and was like, well, I need to get out of downtown. And I like the area personally. I like the idea of J.D. Vance being from here. So, I try and be humble, you know what I mean? But I think for the most part, man, it's a nice little town, you know what I mean? It's got a lot to offer. Obviously, in the area where we're at right here, a lot of this is kind of, some of it you might consider historic. All in all, for the most part, it's been great, Try and keep in mind, some people have more struggles than others if they're outspoken and stuff, and I'm one of those people. So I'm not the first person in history who had a differing opinion and stuff like that, or called out a tremendous evil and ended up being overwhelmed by pressure because of it. So I try not to, make too big of a deal out of it. But
one last question before I let you get out of the sun here. Yeah, so J.D. Vance from here. What are your thoughts on him?
J.D. Vance, man, a Marine, #1, so we go, all right, a man of honor, somebody who's definitely a patriot and hardworking, so I got a lot of respect for that. Seeing him speak, everything I've seen, Seems like a really level-headed individual, more level-headed than me. I expect to do a great job, and I guess we'll let the numbers do the talking. So, you'd think it'd be more of an inspiring story that he came right here from Middletown and is the vice president. For more than 40 years, as a country, we've been taught that our people, that we're guilty of all these atrocities. Just white positivity and having a positive self-identity. Why would you want to teach somebody that they're lesser? I went through this with an individual, and he's white himself, and he lashes out at his identity and is like, we've done so much bad in the world. And I'm like, we? Like you and me? I'm like, what did we do? But I feel like over 40 years, there's been a lot of hate towards white people and blame. And that affects a child growing up seeing that and seeing these small innuendos that are made that a lot of people pick up on and go, even in Disney movies and other things, people are like, what are you talking about? Sounds like a conspiracy. And it's like, no, if you look at the pattern, they're hitting on these key notes you would never expect to see in a child's film. You're creating a lot of hate towards a group of individuals. I dealt with some of it today, a person telling me to go back to my own country, and I was like, well, that's just crazy.
Someone said that to you?
Yeah. Telling me to go back to Europe, and it's like, so
why'd they say that?
Where I came from and all that already, and just based upon my color and my features, you've decided that I'm a white European and shouldn't be here. So, but
why'd they say that? That seems a very strange thing to say.
Some political BS, insane. What we've gone through the past 40 years for the American people with a lot of race politics and some of the stuff I'm talking about has just done nothing but tear us apart. I hardly meet a white nationalist, right, who, and I've known a lot of them, who believe that the answer realistically for any race issues in America is going to be to round people up and get rid of them. Well, the options that we have are simple, as normal talks like you and I are having, where people can clear things up and see eye to eye and decide that it's like, well, would you rather make peace or war? Like, we're all living here, neighbors on the same plot of land together, that merits showing each other some respect and having a common sense of unity.
Before heading out, we went back to Vance's street and kept driving around. Just a few blocks away, we entered a much more prosperous area.
How would you describe it?
This area is wonderful. Definitely quiet, feel safe. Just love being, just in this area. It's nice. Yeah.
Obviously, a lot's been said about the fact that Vance is from here.
Yeah.
And Hillbilly Elegy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think the way he's portrayed stuff here is relatively accurate?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Had Vance been born on this street or a different city, he may have had a totally different view of the world. Perhaps he'd be a liberal. Maybe he'd never have become vice president.
And I think that we just witnessed the greatest political comeback in the history of the United States of America. And after the greatest political comeback in American history, we're going to lead the greatest economic comeback in American history under Donald Trump's leadership.
It's clear that Vance didn't grow up with a silver spoon in his mouth, but his book was called Hillbilly Elegy after his Appalachian roots. So to really understand the vice president, we set off for Jackson, Kentucky, deep in the Appalachian Mountains. How did the so-called hillbillies there feel about Vance and his book?
Rich keep getting richer and poor keep getting poorer.
That's where we go in part 2, our next video. Subscribe so you don't miss it.